Yo, what's up, guys? Hope you're doing well. Your boy Bit, we are back at it. Good to see you. You know, it's crazy. In my last video, before the whole certain form, the roasting of that, I literally said in that video, I'm gonna drop these facts. I'm gonna go play some games, and I'm gonna leave, type of thing. You know what I mean? I'll be back, or whatever the case may be. And literally, I did that. Platinumed the Dark Souls franchise. Done playing Cyberpunk. I've been chilling. That's what I've been doing. But anyway, I hope you guys been good. Yes, I saw the infamous Nintendo Direct. No, I didn't want to stream it. Cold Classic Cage tried to talk me into it. I was like, bro, y'all already know I'm not a big Nintendo dude. Besides, wasn't for me as it is. But I will say this. There was definitely some positives in this show. In fact, this is arguably one of the better Nintendo Directs I've seen in a long time. Very, very good. They definitely cooked. A lot of great content, a lot of good announcements. There's a lot of good games. Really, really well thought out. The Switch itself actually had some much needed quality of life improvements. The Switch, I like what they done with it, honestly. I really, really do. The new dock, all that. Like, they actually thought a lot of stuff through and actually improved on a lot of areas. And it definitely is a much needed change of pace. It was a much needed upgrade, that needed to happen. I even like what they did with the Joy-Cons. They're bigger. They have they don't slide and play no more, a chance of breaking. No, they're like magnet. It's cool. I like that. Very, very cool. The new touch button, not touch button. The chat button, cross game chat, sharing your games around, with friends. That's cool. I like that. There's still some stuff that they're far behind on. No announcement on terms of like an award system, like trophies or anything of that nature. Nothing like that for Nintendo. But again, I don't think they ruled it out. It still probably can come in an update for the Nintendo app or whatever. So that's cool. There was definitely some interesting, funny decisions. Like, for example, PlayStation 5 gave us Astro's Playroom to show off the abilities of the PS5 Pro, or PlayStation 5 in general. And in comes Nintendo with their own version of this, but they're charging you top dollar for it. That was hilarious. Nintendo, I don't know why they did this, but again, it's Nintendo. Nintendo going Nintendo. So it is what it is. So that's a skip by itself. Anyway. In the midst of that particular announcement, Nintendo announced Donkey Kong, which looked fantastic. They announced the new Mario Kart World. We'll get into that in a second. They announced Kirby, which looked good. They announced the new Pokemon and vice versa. Looked good. Arguably, the biggest announcement for me out of this entire show was the fact that Nintendo is getting essentially Bloodborne 2. That's right. After all this talk about, a capital alliance with Katakawa through PlayStation, Nintendo is the one reaping the rewards of the actual partnership, as they're getting their very own spiritual successor to Bloodborne exclusively for the Switch. And keep in mind, Bloodborne just celebrated over 10 years on the market, and still, to this day, can't even get so much as a high five from PlayStation or a handshake. Crazy, ain't it? Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into why this particular conference is getting a lot of negative reactions, and why the industry is about to be cooked as a result of this. To make a little sense of this, let's go back to September of last year. A certain game was in the spotlight, and this was courtesy of an analyst after talking with multiple developers within the industry. He flat out said that most of the developers out here are hoping for GTA 6 to start the trend to where games are $80 to $100. So that they can sell their games at the same price tag. Now, I already did a video about this and explained how detrimental that would be to games already. Gamers are already picky as it is. And keep in mind, these same gamers that are picky with these games now are the same gamers that damage controlled games being $70 at the start of this generation. Remember, they were like, oh, the $70 is for the developers. It's going to, guarantee us quality and all that. And they said that while we were getting Destruction All-Stars and all this other stuff. And keep in mind, even since paying $70 for games, we still were getting games broken, unfinished, and games that were even missing content, but they were also, they were asking for full price for. Again, this has been the weird double-edged sword in terms of the $70 price tag. So, with that being said, in comes Nintendo with Mario Kart World. Mario Kart World will be the first game that Nintendo drops that will be $80. That's right. This generation already had one price increase at the start of its generation. Now we're halfway through it, and we have another price increase. Now, who's to say when we get into the next generation, we won't have another price increase? You see where this is going, ladies and gentlemen? But anyway, we're not going to talk about the future. We're going to talk about now. Another price increase, $80 for this Mario Kart game. What's even more crazy about this, Nintendo had multiple games on the show that were $70 still. So I don't know if these games are already contracted to be $70 or they figure we're just going to do one to see how people react. The funny thing about this, Nintendo could have said all their games were $80 and they would have been able to get away with it immediately. Why? Because the Nintendo fan base is just immediately all in with the Switch 2. That's already apparent. It doesn't matter how many quality of life improvements they had. They could have been the most lackluster improvements. Literally, Nintendo Switch would have sold out regardless. Now, as far as the Nintendo Switch is as a whole, it's $450 for the Nintendo Switch, and they're saying what's going around is that the tariffs, obviously that have been imposed by the current, commander in chief, are the reason as to why the Switch is $450. Now, with that being said, I absolutely do believe that definitely is the case, especially when it comes to the hardware side of things. This also makes me a little worried about the PS5, or in this case, the PS6, as well. The PlayStation, the Nintendo Switch is $450, and keep in mind the Nintendo Switch is not really going over the top in terms of like 4K or anything of that nature. It's still pushing 1080p. It has a 1080p display, but they do say that they can support 4K, 60, and 120 hertz. That's cool. A lot of great tech. Looks good, right? But here's the thing. Nintendo's not known for pushing the crazy visuals and fidelity. That's PlayStation and Microsoft. So, let's look at PlayStation 5 Pro as an example here. PlayStation 5 Pro dropped the half-baked PSSR. And the reason why I say it's half-baked is because the full features of PSSR will be released next year. That right there will be using FSR re-implementation. Funny how this system was $700 just for you to get a small, tiny fraction of FSR 4. Now imagine the full effects of FSR 4 with PlayStation 6. How much is that console really going to cost, especially with the tariffs in play? I really do believe that console might absolutely hit the $1,000 price tag at this point. And you know what's funny? The $1,000 price tag is I'm not the only one who believes that as well. I can actually envision it at this point. We were all joking about the console being $700 when it came to the Pro. Now it makes a hell of a lot of sense that PS6 would be $1,000, especially with the way things are going. Game prices going to $80. You know for a fact Sony's going to follow suit with this. And keep in mind, Sony already has a problem selling their first-party games as it is, especially newer titles. Games are selling $2 million to $1 million. You think they're going to sell that at $80 now? With an additional $10 on top of it? And keep in mind, gamers as a whole, have been very picky with games ever since they've been $10. Since the $10 increase to $70, they've been very picky. Like I told you they would with the magnifying glass theory. I've been telling you this. Prices go up, people look at it. What am I getting? I already explained this. Now we're adding an additional $10 on this. You don't think people are going to look at games even more picky and become extreme picky gamers now going for it? And what's even more insane about this, just going back to Nintendo has systematically just destroyed the physical game market with the Nintendo Switch 2. That's right. When you buy a physical game from the Nintendo Switch in general, the games are about $80. I think it's $80 to $90. I don't know. I think that's what it was. They said $90. So I'm going to toss that up. So correct me if I'm wrong, but that's been going around is that it's $90. So you pay $90 for the physical version of these games. And then when you open the game, you get your cartridge. But here's the wild part. the game that's on this cartridge isn't really the game. It's actually a licensed key. It's kind of like a pass key. You put that into the Nintendo Switch, it registers with the console in the cloud or whatever, and guess what? Your game downloads immediately to your Switch. That's how they register your games now. The games are not physically on the Switch or on the cartridges anymore. They're now legit going to be just downloaded through the store. And that's why you have even more storage on the Nintendo Switch. I think it's over 250 gigs or something like that on the Switch. Now you have more gigabytes on the Switch. So, that right there is insane. Gaming, ladies and gentlemen, this generation started off so promising. It really, really did. It had everything it had everything to just prove itself. It didn't even have to prove as much. All it had to do was just keep the momentum and keep us happy. This generation did everything in its power to do the opposite of what made us love it and what made us excited for it to begin with. There have been multiple canceled studios and everything of that nature, and people wonder why game prices are going up. Multiple games either been canceled or have sold lackluster sales, which have resulted in studio closures, and people wonder why game prices are going up. Budgets, ladies and gentlemen, budgets. They need to improve their profit margins. They really, really do. They want to make more money out of these games, and make no mistake about it, they'll do anything they can to make that money. But here's the thing: a lot of you are against the very solution that could fix this, and that is multi-platform. And before anybody brings up Nintendo sells their hardware, Nintendo fans buy Nintendo hardware specifically for their first-party exclusives. They always have, they always will. The fact that Nintendo now has even stronger third-party support with Nintendo Switch is just an added icing on the cake at this point. That's it. Nobody cares in the long run, and you think about it, about the third party for the Switch. They buy it strictly for the first party. Nobody buys PlayStation 5 the way you guys think they do, strictly for the first party. The casuals will buy, PlayStation and Xboxes for the Halo, or not for the Halo, for the Call of Duty. They'll buy it for the damn the FIFAs, you name it, and Fortnites. They buy it for that. They don't buy it for the first party exclusives. Nintendo and Sony are not the same and never will be the same. Nintendo fans are not the same as PlayStation fans. Nintendo fans buy every single nook and cranny of whatever they can about Nintendo and buy it with pride. PlayStation fans, they wait for sales. PlayStation fans, they'll wait, or they'll hype it up. Or PlayStation fanboys, they'll hype them up. They'll talk about them in Twitter spaces. While dudes actually go and support the games, some will stand on business and buy it. They'll ride the coattails of that said person by hyping them up. And you notice they won't show any gameplay. You notice they won't talk about their PSNs. You notice why they get quiet when guys like me ask for them PSNs. Because they're not buying these games when it matters. Scary thought, ain't it? This is how bad things have gotten for PlayStation. Now, make no mistake about it. There is a solution aside from third-party support or multi-platform approach, and we'll talk about that in another video. But for the sake of longevity, for the sake of this video, and I don't want this video to drag super long, I just wanted to talk about how bad things are going to get. So Sony already has a problem selling games as it is at $70, outside of a few select games. Now you're going to have games go up to $80, and Sony's still continuing the same situation that you guys known for, which is even more insane. So with that being said, with Sony still going down the same route of dropping the same games and repackaging them and asking for full price for them, I think it's safe to say that Sony is on another level of just pettiness at this point. They really, really are. There's already reports going around that Sony is going to repackage Last of Us Part 1 and Last of Us Part 2 remastered and another re-release for you guys for PlayStation 5. They're already doing it. And that game might be $80. Just think about that. Sony's already working around with this. And this is something that's been going around for a while. they're looking to get the most out of this. And make no mistake about it, they will absolutely do so. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. I hate to be the one to say I told you so, but listen, this is just common sense. I've been very vocal about this, and now we're here. And listen, it is what it is at this point. This generation definitely has shown me the true colors of a lot of people. And like I said prior, I'm just going to keep it moving like a lot of you guys should do as well. Enjoy your games while you can, or whatever the case may be. If you're going to buy a Switch, let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe, and share. I appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys later. Peace.